on an 04 Dodge 1-ton dually. The problem we're addressing is going to be the track bar. This is a huge problem in these trucks. Most aftermarket companies make a adjustable track bar for these things and aftermarket bushings, but we're going to skip over all that stuff today because you don't need it. And a lot of those bars too are fairly pricey, so by the time you get them installed, they still don't fix the problem. But today we're actually addressing the problem, starting with the mount bolt in your track bar. As you can see, if you look real close, you can see a half moon on the driver's side. The reason you can see the half moon on the driver's side is because the rig is hanging and the suspension is taut. So we're going to address that half moon problem today, along with the other side. Same thing. You can see on the passenger side the half moon rust hole there. So we're going to be drilling this out, installing what we call a bob, a big old bushing. But before we do that, we're going to point out what needs to be taken apart first. We're going to have to drop some tie rods, drop this stuff out of the way, and zip tie everything up to the sway bar, get it out of the way, remove on the driver's side the rubber bump stop, have to pull that out of its socket, and we'll go from there. These are going to be some of the tools you're going to be needing for this job to complete it correctly. An assortment of bits, a magnet maybe to fish that one washer in the back side on the blind side, a hammer or two, or maybe a bigger hammer, come along, line up punches, and so on. Here we have the bolt we took out, which you can see in the one side it actually the threads act like a file, and it actually files out your mounting bracket. That's what you're feeling. So you can go down to the Dodge dealership, you can spend $600 if you want, but they're going to put the same bolt back in there and charge you for a track bar that you don't need. So I took that out and put this in. My design, this is a patented design that I come up with. It actually rides on the shank of the bolt with a top lock nut. Now going back to these things are crimped on tabs. That's one reason you do not hit these things when you're taking this thing apart. You do not hit them with an impact. You will break those tabs off, and then you will have to cut the track bar out of the truck, and you're not going to like the cost of a new track bar. So this part or that part, you never know, it may save your life. Okay, everything's disassembled. Tie rod ends are zip tied up to the sway bar out of the way, tires off, give you a little bit more room to work. I want to point out the bolt that I pulled out of the hole there. You can see where the threads are completely hogged off. They actually act as a file on the far side, the back side of this. You can actually put this bolt in and see how much slop you actually have. The new bolt, even just the bolt itself, is much better. Side to side, up, down, everything. But that's not the complete fix. We still have yet to take and drill both holes 1 inch, this side and the back side. This is your blind side. It's your hardest hole to get to. So this is not a driveway fix. This is something that needs to be done by a professional, and if you're not competent to do it, you got a one-time shot on this thing. So the driver's side is the same way. You can see the old bolt, completely sloppy in this thing. Even the new bolt is a little bit tighter, but you could throw a cat through that hole. So this side here, we will be drilling from the back side. You do have to remove this rubber, the bump stop. You'll be drilling all the way through it and finishing up the hole with the 1 inch drill bit after the hole hog. After removal, inspect your track bar to make sure that the bushing still is in good shape. You can also test it with the new bolt to make sure that everything is copacetic, and if not, you need to replace them with a one-way press-in bushing. You can either get them from your local parts store, but there are different qualities of bushing, so quality does matter in this. Do not, I've had guys in the past put 2-piece bushings in this thing with my kit and it does not fly. It does not work. You actually have too much end play from the 2-piece bushing in there moving around side to side. Nice and slow. Once you got this thing drilled, take a rasp of some sort, file, flat side, take out all your debris, all your burrs, get it as best you can, get them things cleaned up, and continue to the other side. Now what you want to do is dry fit your parts, check your holes. You should have a little bit of slack. It's not a big deal. Insert your bolt. The back one here is a little tough because it does on the blind side. Should go right through. It's going to be hard to see up in there, but you're going to take your nut here, stick it on the back. You'll have to do a little bit of fishing to get it. Once you get it on there, get it going. Okay, after your hole's drilled, filed out, everything's cleaned up real good, dry fit all your bushings, make sure everything seats in there, good to go. Suck that down just to make sure. It is a top lock steel nut, so it is a one-time deal. Okay, now we're ready to buff the ears, get them nice and clean. We will spot weld, put about an inch weld on each side of these things, on both sides and also on the passenger front. See, we installed Bob on the driver's side. Make sure that the washers are inserted into the inch holes nice and tight, both sides, that side, front and back. Snug your nut down, don't tighten it down yet. Snug it down and then proceed to the passenger side. Once you get to the passenger side, it's going to take a little bit of fishing to get this thing in there. As you can see, it's a really tight hole. That's why, hence the arm on the nut, on the blind side of the nut. It might be wise of you to potentially use a come along and string it back to the frame on the driver's side to be able to line this up. It's going to take a little bit of finesse, so don't be patient and line everything up, seat everything up. Bob installed, got everything, all the bushings in, sucked down to specs, which is tight. Top locks are seated, everything's in, welded up. When you're welding, make sure you have a partner or something to maybe be on the air so you don't melt the bushings out of the dang thing that you just put in there. Everything's tight and right. It's anti-rust paint, good quality paint. Same thing with the passenger side. The passenger side, tight and right, ready to fly. So you should never have any problems with this thing the rest of the life of the truck. We buttoned up the truck. Everything's torqued down, painted, wheels on, tie rod ends, drag links, everything's hooked back up. A lot of symptoms on these trucks people don't really notice until they hook a camp trailer to it or a fifth wheel. I get a lot of phone calls saying, you know, truck drives all right. Well, kind of, sort of. In time past, I've had guys spend up to $7,500 on a truck chasing this problem, and he should have called me $7,300 ago. You know, changing wheels, wheel bearings, ball joints, tie rod ends, steering boxes, the whole 9 yards, and the track bar always gets overlooked. You can purchase my part at 4x4plus.com and or call me on the number on your screen. I'll be happy to talk to you, talk about the symptoms on the truck. Sometimes they're war, sometimes they're not. The earliest mileage I've seen these things break or wear out is about 45,000 miles. But they're, you know, then again, hard miles. Most of the time, everyday drivers, you're going to see, you know, 120 to 160 thou starting to go. So they do affect drivability. It does wear parts harder. It is a very important part. Another note: a lot of lift companies will not touch this part because it is a frame modification. Okay, now you've heard the old adage that you know, if you want scrambled eggs, you got to break some eggs. Well, this is one of those. You got to break some eggs in order to have an omelet. So it's got to get ugly before it gets better. So this is one of those deals. You roll up your sleeves, get a little dirty, get a couple of metal chip burns, and get it done. Okay, you can get a hold of me, 208-623-2393. I am in Idaho, so if you're on the East Coast, don't call me at 6 o'clock. Or you can get a hold of me at 4x4plus.com. These parts sell for $195 for both of them. It does one truck. A lot of times I have guys that want to just buy one, which is okay, but they buy one and your buddy buys one. So if they want to split up the cost between you and a buddy, hey, that's great. But $195, free shipping anywhere in the States, and be safe out there.